Science!
All right, guys, welcome. Willie Dills here. This is my discussion on the Journey to Ungoro announcement that happened today. There is a video. Ben Brode here in his lumberjack outfit. I'm just going to kind of go over some of the stuff that was announced and kind of talk a little bit about my thoughts on it. We're not going to go too deep here because there's a lot that we don't know yet. And so I think it would be a mistake to try to make any real judgments about any of this information other than just kind of initial thoughts, initial impressions, and where maybe this kind of takes us and whether we think this is all really cool or how we feel about it. Just with the small bit of information that we already have. So first of all, Journey to Ungoro, that wasn't anything new. We knew that the expansion was going to be Journey to Ungoro. That had already been leaked, so that's fine. We didn't expect any major surprises there. But what we are kind of seeing is a little bit more of like the theme of what that actually means. And there are some stuff that we did not know about. Namely, there's going to be some new mechanics, and there's going to be a new keyword. There's also going to be a new tribe as well. So there's lots of cool stuff. If you want to watch the video, you can go to, I think it's Ungoro.com. Ungoro.com. And then there's also a blog post about it all with this special video here. And I'm not going to play that for you. You can decide to watch that or not. So one of the things that we're finding out here is that there's some returning characters. Elise Starseeker and her junior explorers are on an expedition into the uncharted territory of Ungoro Crater. And that's basically, if you don't know World of Warcraft, Ungoro Crater is a zone, and it's full of dinosaurs and all kinds of crazy stuff. There's like slimes and elemental things going on in there. It's kind of the, it's one of the things that it was called when you're looking at a lore perspective from World of Warcraft. They were calling it kind of the petri dish of Azeroth. So in a lot of ways, the Titans, who are the world creators, if you will, were using Ungoro Crater as kind of a way to try out different life forms, do some testing. Freya had a lot to do with it. So there's lots of cool stuff that goes on along with that. And it's not just a bunch of dinosaurs. There's a bunch of other stuff happening there. And so one of the cool things, so they introduced the theme, 135 new cards. And there's some really interesting new kind of mechanics that are coming along as well. So we'll talk about some of the cards that they did announce. The first one being Volcano. Volcano is a shaman spell. It's a 5-cost card with Overload 2. Deal 15 damage randomly split among all minions. And so I kind of lump this card in with like Elemental Destruction. So Elemental Destruction is like a really great shaman control card that overloads you for quite a bit, and Volcano is it's in the same kind of pattern where it also hurts your own board, but the overload is slightly less. The initial cost is more. Elemental Destruction costs 3 but overloads you for 5, so in the end it ends up costing you 8 mana over 2 turns. This will cost you 7 mana over 2 turns. It won't necessarily be guaranteed to remove a bunch of stuff, but if they have a fairly large board, it'll be a good anti-aggro card. If they have like a fairly large board full of weenie characters, it'll most likely clean them up. It'll also clean up your side though, so you probably aren't going to be using this in any type of mid-range shaman deck. And if they're pushing shaman more towards a control archetype, I think a lot of us Hearthstone players will be pretty happy with that. So yeah, this is going to be a card that's going to push shaman less in an aggressive direction and more in a control direction. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of cards yet to come, so we can't really decide how good or bad this card is. But in a vacuum, it is a fairly reliable board clear. 15 damage randomly split is quite a bit, so that'll oftentimes clean up most of the board, and it'll only overload you for 2. So I could see this card seeing play, depending on what the meta actually ends up looking like. Next card here that they gave us is Pyros, which is a mage legendary. And this graphic here doesn't quite tell the full story, but Pyros is a 2-mana 2/2. When it comes out, it has a death rattle. To return this to your hand as a 6/6 that costs 6. So what happens is once Pyros dies, goes back to your hand, and then it becomes a 6 mana 6/6 with Death Rattle. Return this to your hand. It becomes a 10/10 with cost 10. So basically, this is a creature that it's like a 3-in-1 card, although each individual version of the card is not very good on its own. So again, if the meta slows down enough, this is a pretty good value card. Not to mention the fact that the 2-mana version and the 6-mana version are both Death Rattle minions, meaning, let's say you played N'Zoth later on in the game, it would bring back the 2-mana version and the 6-mana version of this card. The other thing we see here is this card is an elemental. So it's actually the first card they introduced that has the elemental tribe tag on it. And we haven't seen any of the cards that interact with this tribe tag, but I'm assuming that there's going to be quite a few of them if this is something that they're adding to existing cards, which is the next thing that got announced. A certain number of cards that already exist are now going to become part of the elemental tribe. So some of the examples they gave were like Magma Rager, Ragnaros, the Light Lord, and the Fire Lord, all that kind of stuff. Those will all become elementals as well. There's a whole bunch, like Earth Elemental. A bunch of the existing cards that just say elemental on them are now becoming elemental cards. And so we'll have to see. Again, I can't really decide how good or bad having the elemental tag is on the card because we don't know anything else about that. But that is kind of cool. Another tribe to go along with, the existing pirates, murlocs, that kind of stuff, the beasts that we already have. And now the kind of the last thing that they showed us here as far as cards are concerned is a new keyword called adapt. So this is a new druid card, the Verdant Longneck, and it is a 5-mana 5/4. So those are pretty bad stats for a 5-mana card. But it has Battlecry Adapt. And what Adapt will do is there's 10 possibilities. And within, we'll end up getting like a discover of 3 of those 10 possibilities. So I'll give you an example of what the possibilities are. They show them here. One of them could be Death Rattle, summon 2 1/1 plants. So if you get that as an option, you can select it. This will be a 5/4 Death Rattle, summon 2 1/1 plants. You can give it +3 attack, which would mean it would come out as an 8/4 for 5 mana. Can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. So the Fairy Dragon ability, it could have that. And a 5-mana 5/4 that can't be shot down with a removal spell might be pretty good. Divine Shield, that would be pretty cool. Wind Fury, probably not so great. Won't see a lot of people pick that. And Taunt, not so great. Essentially turns this into a Booty Bay Bodyguard, which is kind of known as a pretty bad card. That being said, it's a 5-mana 5/4 beast, so it might help with Beast Druid. But the fact that you can select what the adaptability is, you're putting a keyword onto the card, and you can decide which one works best for the current situation, right? So depending on what the other cards we see with adapt on them, and if there are any kind of other cards that work with the adapt keyword, this may or may not be a fantastic mechanic. If the game slows down to a certain extent, which the nerf to Small Time Buccaneer and Spirit Claws, maybe we see the game slow down a touch. We shall see. But very cool. I like the idea of the mechanic a lot. Again, decision making is really, really cool when you're talking about a game of Hearthstone. What we want is we don't want to just play the minions on curve that we draw and just let the chips fall where they may. We want to have decisions, right? And this adapt keyword adds quite a lot of decision making. And now finally, quest cards. Quest cards are really interesting. There's a couple things we need to note about them. My understanding at this point, and I may be off base, but it seems like what this is going to be is we're going to get one of these for each class. That's how it feels right now. One of these for each class. They're 1-mana spells, and they're legendary spells, and they always end up in your opening hand. If it's in your deck, it is guaranteed to be in your opening hand. There's a few interesting things about that, which I'll get into in a second. But basically, the one that we were shown is Quest, 1 mana, Awaken the Makers. So what happens is when you play it, it gives you a quest, and it kind of shows up in the way secrets do at the top of your character, and it shows you and the opponent how far you've progressed in the quest that you got. So the opponent is always going to know how far you have progressed and how much more maybe they need to try to play around certain things, not allow you to do certain things. As far as this quest is concerned, this is a priest quest, and you have to summon 7 Death Rattle minions. If you do, you immediately get Amara, Warden of Hope, into your hand. So this is a card that's not in your deck. The Awaken the Makers is in your deck. Amara is basically a card that gets created and put right into your hand. So 5 mana, 8/8. So the memes are incoming there. It has Taunt and has a battle cry to set your hero's health to 40. So this is obviously an incredible card. If you can complete this quest and get to this point, it's probably going to win you the game, because your deck is at this like full of death rattles. I'm imagining you're probably playing N'Zoth if you're playing Awaken the Maker's Priest. So you're suddenly in a really good position where you plop down to 5 mana, 8/8, and your hero goes to 40 health. And that means your new threshold is 40. You can heal back up to 40 using your hero power and things like that. So it just changes your total health total from 30 to 40. And I mean, there's other ways that you could abuse this. People in my Slack chat were already talking about if I could go to Wild, figure out how to play a Major Domo, Awaken the Makers, then that would be insane, right? Turn my hero power into Ragnaros's hero power, then play Amara and give me 40 health, and suddenly I have Ragnaros's hero power the rest of the game, but I'm at 40, not 8. Could be amazing. Yeah, it is important to note, as someone in the chat just said, that it says summon 7 Death Rattle minions, not play them. So in Wild, you know, you could actually use Dr. Boom, and the Boom bots would count as Death Rattle minions. So this is a really interesting mechanic. A couple things I want to point out about it. It's the first legendary spell we've ever seen. Now, the fact that it's always in your opening hand has a drawback, and in a way, it also has a benefit. So the drawback is obviously you kind of end up with one less card, because one of your cards is going to be this. So let's say you're going first, you're going to have this and 2 other cards. If you're going second, you're going to have this and 3 other cards. And you can't, like, I mean, I haven't seen actually if you can just mulligan it away. I mean, you always have it at the beginning. I don't know if it's impossible to mulligan it. We'll have to find out how that works. I'm sure that's already been asked and answered on Twitter, but I'll look into that. But the kind of the drawback here is that you have that one less card, but also on turn 1, if I'm playing this, I'm actually turn 1 doing nothing, right? I'm turn 1 passing in a way. I am playing this, and I'm setting myself up for the quests to start building up, and I'm accumulating these you know, whatever the objectives are for the quest. But I've actually done nothing on turn 1 of any significance as far as tempo is concerned. So that'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. You can mulligan it away. Okay, so you always have it in your opening hand, but you could decide to get rid of it. Okay, that's it. That's a huge deal. That makes a big difference, because we'll see in practicality how this actually ends up working out. But one kind of cool thing is if you're running, and this deck would be definitely a control deck, right? If you're playing this. So if you are playing like a control deck, you now have a spell in your hand where if you had like a Wild Pyromancer, you automatically now have a Pyromancer enabler, right? Whereas sometimes you would, in Priest, you would play Pyromancer, but you wouldn't have a spell to use with it. So now it's like if you can mulligan the other cards and end up with a Pyromancer, you know you can wait a turn. You don't have to play this on 1. You can wait. Let's say you're going second. You could actually on turn 2, you could use this coin, Awaken the Makers, or Pyro coin, Awaken the Makers, and deal 2 damage to the board, which would be pretty interesting as far as like, because again, you're trying to go to late game when you're playing a card like this, right? And we haven't seen the other ones, but if they're at all like this, then they're likely built for late game control style decks that then have like a huge power turn at some point in the future. So very interesting. I'm excited to see how the rest of these cards kind of come out and how it all plays out once you actually start playing with the cards. But you will definitely be seeing this on the ladder. It's going to be something that people are going to want to try for. And if you get the quest done and you get Amara out, it feels like you're going to have a pretty good chance to win the game from there. So I really like this idea. Very cool mechanic. Last thing we got here is the Journey to Ungoro board. Looks pretty cool, I guess. I mean, it's a board. I don't get super excited about these. You get your volcano, you got some eggs in a tree. Cool. It's fun. All right, got it. All looks very cool to me. All looks very fun. Now, I guess the key here is, does the meta slow down to the point where Ngoro and all these fun, cool concepts and cards actually matter? That's going to be the question, because we saw what happened with Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, where a lot of people assumed that the meta was going to slow down a little bit, and grimy goons and stuff were going to be really cool, and Jades were going to be really cool. And then what happened is the pirates took over, and the only way to beat pirates if you didn't play other pirates was to play Reno decks, and so you ended up with a really funky meta. So I'm waiting. This is a wait and see type of situation. If the meta does slow down, all these things are going to be really fun. It doesn't have to actually slow down a lot. I still want aggro to exist. I just don't want aggro to be as powerful as it currently is, because what happens when the meta is so fast is that a lot of the cool, fun ideas that you can have in the back and forth interaction of a game of Hearthstone ends up going away, because all you're trying to do is not die on turn 4. So we shall see. This is a wait and see spot right here. And we're just going to hope and pray that that's how it works out. There is going to be pre-purchase 50 packs for what, $49.99 it looks like. So that's kind of your standard deal. They said that March 17th is when we're going to start getting a lot of the card reveals. So that's a few weeks away. We'll start getting a bunch of the card reveals then. And early April is when the actual set will be released. So hopefully that will be April 1st. I would love it if it turned out to be April 1st. But you know, nothing's been promised other than the March 17th. That's when the card reveals will start to happen. Anyway, really cool, exciting stuff. I love some of the ideas of these cards. They're definitely a little off the wall and not kind of what I was assuming was going to happen. Some new and novel ideas. So all seems very good, and I'm really excited. So look out for Journey to Ngoro coming soon to Hearthstone near you. Thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, do all the things I guess you're supposed to do. All right.